She was sitting on the floor outside my apartment with her back against the door and her chin dropped to her chest, completely asleep. I stood in the hallway for a long moment and did not move. There was a folded piece of paper tucked under my door. My name on the outside in her handwriting, the particular kind she used when she was being deliberate about something, each letter placed rather than rushed. I picked it up, unfolded it. I couldn't leave you upset. That was the whole note. My name is Owen Calloway. I'm 33. I teach high school history at a school 20 minutes from the apartment I've lived in for 4 years. A second-floor unit that smells faintly of old wood and has a radiator that clicks every night at 11 like it's checking in. I'm the kind of person who is fine at most things and excellent at exactly 2. Remembering the specific details of conversations weeks later, and not saying the things that would make my life considerably easier if I just said them. Her name was Nadia Ferris. She was 32, a graphic designer who worked from a studio in her apartment 2 floors up, which she had moved into 14 months ago because the rent was reasonable and the light was good, and she needed somewhere quiet. She had a blue pen she kept tucked behind her ear when she was thinking and tended to forget it was there. She made tea in a mug that said, "World's okayest person," which she had bought herself deliberately. She was one of the sharpest people I had ever met, and the most infuriating, and the one I called without thinking whenever anything happened, good or bad, because it had never occurred to me to call anyone else first. We had been best friends for 3 years. We had been this particular version of best friends, the kind where something sits quietly in the corner of every room you share together and neither of you names it for most of that time. The night she ended up outside my door started with an argument that wasn't really an argument. It was the kind of thing that happens when 2 people are saying the wrong things about the right subject. Her friend Marcus had asked her out. She told me about it the way you tell someone news when you're watching their face to see what they do with it. I told her that was great, that Marcus seemed like a good guy, that she should go. She had looked at me for a long moment after I said it. Then she said, "Right, sure." And something had shifted in the room. Something I had caused and could not name, and was not willing to look at directly. We had talked for another 20 minutes about nothing, and then she said she should get back upstairs, and I said okay, and she left. And I stood in my kitchen for a long time afterward, feeling like I had gotten something very wrong without being able to identify what. I had gone out. A walk, just to do something with the feeling. I was gone maybe 45 minutes. And when I came back, there she was. Asleep against my door in her gray sweatshirt, legs stretched out in front of her, the blue pen still behind her ear. I crouched down. The hallway was quiet. She was deeply, completely under, the way you go when you've been running on tension for hours and your body just stops negotiating. I said her name, quietly. She came back slowly, blinked, focused, found my face, and then, for one unguarded second, before she remembered herself, her expression was open in a way I had not seen before, like something surfacing. Then awareness arrived, and she sat up straighter and looked at the note in my hand and pressed her lips together. "You came back," she said. Her voice was rough from sleep. "I live here," I said. "I know that," she said. I looked at the note. I looked at her. The pen was still behind her ear, and she still hadn't noticed it, and I did not have the first idea what to do with the way I felt about that. "How long have you been out here?" "A while," she said, not the answer. "Nadia." "Maybe 40 minutes. She pulled one knee up and rested her arm on it, not quite looking at me. "I knocked and you weren't in. I should have just, I don't know, texted." "But you didn't," I said. "But I didn't," she said. I sat down on the floor across from her back against the opposite wall, which was not particularly dignified, but felt right. She looked at me sideways and then looked away. "What are we doing?" she said, to the hallway more than to me. "I don't know," I said. "Honestly, I don't want you to tell me Marcus is a good guy," she said. "I know he's a good guy. That's not the point." "What's the point?" I said. She turned her head and looked at me directly then, which she did sometimes when she was deciding something. Her expression was careful in the way that meant she had been thinking about this for longer than tonight. "I came down here because I couldn't go to sleep knowing you were upset," she said. "I don't do that for people in general. I want you to know that." I didn't say anything. "I brought tea," she said, and gestured to a travel mug I hadn't noticed beside her, sitting against the baseboard. "It's cold now. I fell asleep before you got back, which is—" She stopped. "That's embarrassing." "It's not," I said. She looked at the mug. "I didn't go to sleep thinking about Marcus," she said. "I went to sleep thinking about whether you were okay. And I woke up thinking the same thing, which is—" She stopped again. "Which is what?" I said. She looked at me for a long moment. Something in her face was very honest and slightly frightened and completely steady all at once. "Which is information," she said. "I have poor survival instincts around women who sleep outside apartment doors and bring cold tea and call it information." "Nadia," I said. "Don't be careful with it," she said. "Just whatever you're about to say, don't be careful." I looked at her. The pen behind her ear. The sweatshirt with the small ink stain near the cuff that she'd gotten 3 months ago and kept meaning to treat. The way she was looking at me like she had already decided something and was waiting to see if I'd caught up. "When you told me about Marcus," I said. And I said that sounded great. I was not telling the truth. She was very still. "I was saying what I thought I was supposed to say," I said. "Because the other thing, the true thing, felt like something I didn't have the right to say." "What's the true thing?" she said. Quiet. "That I didn't want you to go," I said. "That I haven't wanted you to go anywhere with anyone for a while now. And I've been very successfully not looking at that." She set her hand down on the floor between us. Palm up, not reaching for me. Just there, available. Her version of an open door. "I changed my emergency contact at the dentist 6 months ago," she said. "It used to be my sister. I changed it to you." Something in my chest went very quiet, and then very loud. "You didn't tell me that," I said. "I didn't want to make it a thing," she said. "And then I thought about it more and more, and it kept being a thing, and then tonight happened, and I—" She stopped. She looked at her hand on the floor. "I sat outside your door for 40 minutes because I couldn't go to sleep thinking you were upset. Owen, that's the emergency contact situation again. That's the same thing." I moved, not dramatically. I put my hand over hers on the hallway floor between us, and she went still in the way that means something landed. "I should have said it months ago," I said. "You said it now," she said. "You slept on the floor for it," I said. "The floor's fine," she said. "I've slept in worse places for worse reasons." She looked down at our hands. Her thumb moved once against mine. "I'm going to feel very stupid tomorrow if I misread this." "You didn't misread it?" I said. She lifted her eyes, found mine, held them with the expression she had when she was deciding whether something was real or whether she'd invented it. I watched her decide. She laughed once, very small, the genuine kind, and leaned her head back against the door. "I brought you cold tea," she said. "That's the grand gesture. Cold tea and a nap in the hallway. It's the best grand gesture I've ever seen, I said. She looked at me sideways and shook her head slowly, the pen still behind her ear. I reached over and took it out. She blinked, looked at it in my hand. You always forget that's there, I said. I know, she said, quietly, like that meant something. I held it out to her. She took it, but she held my hand for a second while she did, and neither of us moved away. We sat in the hallway for another hour. We drank the cold tea anyway. She said it had been better an hour ago, which I believed. At some point, her shoulder was against mine, and the radiator clicked once through the door at 11, and she said, "There it is," because she had heard it enough times to know it. 3 months later, her spare key was on my counter, and the world's okayest person mug was in my cabinet, and she had changed the emergency contact at the dentist to include her sister again, alongside me, because she said that had felt like a lot of pressure to put on one person. I told her I could handle it. She said she knew that, which was the point. A year after that, when her sister asked how it finally happened, she said, "I fell asleep outside his door." Her sister said that was the most Nadia thing she'd ever heard. Nadia said, "The tea was good when I made it." Years later, when people asked, she would say, "I couldn't leave him upset." And I would say, "She brought cold tea and a note and fell asleep in the hallway." And she would look at me the way she looked at things that were hers, steady and certain and without any performance in it. And I would think about the note. 4 words. Her handwriting, deliberate. And how 4 words had been the exact right number. It had probably always been her. I had just needed her to sleep outside my door before I was willing to say so. What would you have done if your best friend showed up outside your door because they couldn't leave you upset? And have you ever realized someone had been choosing you quietly long before you were brave enough to do the same? Tell me your story in the comments. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.